Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. It is Friday night. It is August 23rd, 2024. Welcome to the show. Free Energy Fridays. We got Bernie on, we got Nathan on, we got Philip on, and we got Noel or Lulu. They're all joining us tonight, our regular panel. And welcome to the show. Don't forget, everybody, live chat is open. Uh, if you guys want to just jump in, go ahead. My main computer just kind of went bye bye. I, I have to reboot my StreamYard again. I don't know what the heck happened there. That was weird. I have to log back into it. And like my whole browser just went bye bye. So it's a good thing I got the actual phone going that has the software on it, so I could actually keep the stream running without everything going bye bye.
That's crazy.
Perfect timing, right as the start of the show, right? Okay, let's see if I can log back.
You're being targeted. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
gee, I wonder. Yeah, gee, I wonder, right? Yeah, man, right on cue. Yeah, right on cue. They're really punctual tonight, aren't they?
Sometimes my network at home, my local area network at home is overloaded, and I'm the only one here. It's like, geez, is somebody like
Look for that black van outside with a lot of antennas.
yeah,
no kidding, huh?
But anyways, yeah, I got it up and running again. We're good to go.
Good.
Welcome everyone. Live chat is open. Nathan, any news? Any progress on your Tesla coils that you're working on?
Oh, everything's working great. I actually, after I put the toggle switch in, I put it in a potentiometer, and I can control exactly how much, like, that goes back into it. How much
Gain or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can just adjust it and then hit it. You know what I mean? At different times to see exactly when I get the most out of it, to get the most power out of it.
Because remember last week I asked you, are you using a potentiometer or are you using a toggle? Because the first thing that came to my mind was you want to dial it in. You know, you have that option of shutting it on and off, but also dial it in to the exact gain that you want, right?
Yeah, so it's just basically a toggle, a diode, and a potentiometer. And that's as simple as it gets, and it works perfect. The only thing is I got to tie it into the ultrasound button because I'm over here going like this with two fingers, you know what I mean? Instead of just hitting one. That's it.
Excuse me. Philip, you got an update for us?
Yeah, actually, like we were previously saying, my experiment is about to be done. It was supposed to be done this week, but it got postponed next week because I'm talking about the gallium vortex here, the MHD gallium vortex, which is very similar to the TR3B, but I think the TR3B is more plasma oriented, something like that.
And it's also super cool, just from what I understand. They super cool it down.
Yeah. So anyway, I suggested them to use what you suggested me to use a welder.
Yeah.
But it's gonna heat up the experiment very quickly at 300 amps.
Yeah.
So we might start by pulsing it or using
yeah, that's probably what you're gonna want to do. Yeah, is start pulsing it. Then that way, you know, you'll have less chance of it overheating and causing damage to the experiment, right?
Yeah. So I'm glad I'm not the one doing the experiment itself directly. So this time, but I don't want their equipment to be damaged either. Otherwise, it's gonna slow things down.
Right.
So that's that. And so next week, man, I know I sound like an alcoholic, like the drunk alcoholic, like des promesses d'ivrogne, like we say in French, like an alcoholic making promises.
Well, you know what? It happens, right? There will be delays. Sometimes it's technical. Sometimes it's getting materials in, or just getting all the right stuff together at the same time to make it happen, right?
Yeah. So so hopefully it's gonna be done next week, and we'll see what happens. And the I'm supposed, like I was telling Lulu earlier, I'm supposed to go to Austin, Texas in December for another defense conference. For the third time, I'm going there, but this time it's going to be in Austin, Texas. And I'm going to show off all my updates, and I'm going to close a circle with my theory, because my theory also predicts that it's pretty easy to, there's a way to have an efficient electrolysis to generate hydrogen out of water. There's a way to do that. I'm not gonna make it public yet, but I want to test it first. But it's pretty obvious to me that it's gonna work.
Yeah.
And um, and
Are you gonna take your gallium experiment with you there? Are you gonna present
no,
it
no,
in
no.
Austin?
I'm just gonna take videos of it. I'm not gonna bring it over there, because it's neodymium magnets, and the gallium is at a solid state in the luggage,
Yeah,
so I don't.
yeah.
But
I was wondering. I was like, how are you gonna do that? I was like,
yeah,
yeah, all right.
so the gallium is in solid state, but if it's warm, it's gonna get liquid, and
Yep.
it's gonna
Right.
spill all over the place.
Right.
So
It's not something you can just shove in a briefcase and take it away, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I was
exactly.
just curious. I was like, I'm curious what were you gonna do? But all right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just gonna. Last time in Washington D.C. it was like a little room, and it was more like private, more
Interrogation. Interrogation.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
with the light on top of my head like that.
yeah. Or like being interviewed without the men in black standing behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
The fun you must have had.
I mean, it's kind of funny, like, somebody that it's not the people that come to them they should fear, it's the people that don't come to them. It's the other way around.
yeah,
If you're
exactly.
presenting this publicly, it's not something that you should be fearing.
Right.
The ones that, hide their identities, that don't talk about it, those are the scary ones.
But
So,
Yeah.
when we were in Washington D.C., it was no, next to Washington D.C. was not Washington D.C. I forgot the name. It's Newark, I think, or something like that. No, sorry,
New Jersey?
no, not no, sorry, I forgot the name. But at the it was Gaylord Center in some city across the river from Washington D.C. But there was another conference at the same time, but it was the big banks. The big banks were there at the same time, so the deep state was there.
Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why.
That was pretty funny. So I'm
they follow
hopefully
the
it's
money.
not going to be the same in Texas. Texas is more. It's I guess hopefully it's going to be more private and more. There's not going to be multiple conferences intermixed together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll
That's
see.
awesome.
And
And
yeah, other than that, my company has 90% chances of partnering up with another big company. So now, it's always hard to break the ice by selling a software or partnering up. So no, I finally broke the ice. Well, 99% chance of breaking the ice. So I'm pretty happy about it because now I can go see the big boys, the big players, and go talk to them because I tried to talk to NVDE before, and they said, well, it's your company is good, but try to have some traction with your sales or partnership and things like that. And now that's exactly what I have, so I can go talk to NVDA again and the big boys. So yeah, man, it's grand slam, like we say in baseball terms, grand slam. Three projects are working, so
that's good. No, you're working hard on it, so obviously things are gonna eventually work out, right?
yeah, but a lot of sacrifices also. A lot of the time. It's time consuming and financial sacrifices and things like that.
Mm.
I didn't really hang out a lot for the last 6 months, and I'm right next to downtown Montreal, and it's pretty weird, but I'm gonna catch up in the fall during the fall time. No questions asked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's my update. But
Right on. That's good.
yeah,
Well, yeah, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Maybe you'll be sitting on some deposit money, and you got more money to play with.
yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna.
Congratulations, Phil. Fingers crossed for you.
Sorry.
Fingers crossed you get that money, right? Like, fingers crossed, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, and I will. Our little bonfire is on the agenda as well, and I'm not. We're gonna go to Calgary at some point, and we're gonna have a bonfire
That's right.
with
In minus 40 degrees.
No, it'll be this summer or next summer. You make it to Calgary, and I will make it to Montreal, and we'll do a couple meetups.
Awesome.
Bonfires for sure.
That
How
sounds
far
like
is
a plan.
Calgary? How far? What's the distance between Calgary and Montreal?
Oh, probably about 30 hours.
Wow.
Colorado to New York.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like 30-hour drive. Yeah. Well,
Oh my
Philip's
gosh.
6 hours. Philip is 6 hours from me. So,
Oh, okay.
because
Toronto.
I've done
You're
that. Yeah, I'm just outside of Toronto. So from
Toronto.
where I live to downtown Montreal, I'm looking at 6 hours.
I've been to Montreal once.
Yeah.
It was
In the
very
wintertime
cold.
or summertime?
Wintertime, very cold, very cold. My God,
Yeah.
it was
Oh
so
yeah,
cold.
Montreal's cold. Even
Oh my God, it was
Ottawa's
cold.
cold. Yeah.
Very
Even
cold, yeah.
Ottawa's bad too. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very cold.
What
And
you
Calgary
said
too.
you were attracted by the cold temperature, so you said, oh, I gotta go there at minus 40.
No, I had a cousin. His wife was having a baby, and she was having trouble with her delivery, and he wanted me up there to kind of help out. So I flew up
Okay.
there for a week, and then I ended up having friends there, and I took care of her, and then we still had so much fun. I attended a concert, and yeah,
Yeah,
so good.
Montreal's a really nice city to visit in the summertime. They got a lot of festivals going on and stuff like that. When I was there, they had
Right? Like,
the Just for Laughs tour, comedy show. They had that in downtown
it's
Montreal.
amazing. The Just for Laughs venue is so epic. Like,
Yeah.
Montreal is it's a town of festivals and arts and good times in the summer, that's for sure.
There's a lot of good architecture there. They got the best bagels on the planet. Is in Montreal. At the Great Canadian Bagel I went to.
Smoked
Philip
meat
knows.
sandwiches. Schwartz's smoked meat sandwiches. Oh my! I gotta make it back just for that.
Hey Philip, Philip, do you know where the Great Canadian Bagel's located in downtown Montreal?
It rings me a
It's
bell, but I don't know where exactly.
yeah, it's in the northwest end of Montreal. I forget what street it's on, but I went to the factory where a Great Canadian Bagel, like
Oh, is it
absolute best.
around Jean Talon?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. That's where I go to Jean Talon every week to train in
yeah,
Kung Fu. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I know that place.
Yeah, so we were there and we walk in the store. The building's 100 years old, like it's really old. And
Okay.
you walk in there, and there's totes from the ground right to the ceiling, full of bagels. Like every bagel you can imagine, it's there,
Nice.
Yeah.
and it's wall to wall, and like it's not a big bakery, it's small, but holy cow, they packed them in there. Like the whole, like the walking area is all bagels. You got to walk around the totes and everything. Holy
Nice.
mackerel!
Nice. I
Yeah,
just posted the link of the Heavy Montreal show. It's all metal concerts. It starts in September, or October, and November. There's a lot of
yeah,
good bands that are gonna come by during the fall
right.
time. So it's the for those for metal fans are craving about it. And even if you don't like metal, I mean, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I like metal.
I
I
like
do
metal.
too.
Yeah. I like the old stuff. I like early '80s, early '90s metal. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's you work. Sometimes I
trust me.
do my research or I work on something with that music at the same time, and
Yeah,
it
it gets your mind
speeds
going,
my
right?
brain up. Yeah,
Yeah,
That for work, I like techno because that works. But for that is for glass of whiskey and just sit back and relax and like that for metal music. Yeah,
you
that's a
you
different.
drink whiskey?
I
You're a
do.
whiskey drinker? Wow.
Yeah.
oh yeah, nice.
Yes, I'm a whiskey drinker.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did
I
I
don't,
you
don't
like?
yeah.
drink. I don't drink very often. Where I like to drink the most is in front of a campfire.
Yeah,
Mm.
Have a couple of drinks in front of a campfire. That's like it.
I
That's my
don't like to
summer
drink
mood.
alone. If like I haven't had like I don't drink if like maybe New Year's was the last time I actually had whiskey because if I'm by myself it's not fun. Drinking is a social
Yeah,
thing.
like I
Like
got
if you drink by yourself it's like it's kind of boring. It's not fun.
yeah,
well,
I got a cabinet. I got liquor in it, but it sits there. I
Yeah,
don't drink it.
me too.
98
Yeah,
98% of the
I've
year, I
got
don't even
wine,
touch
I've
it.
got you name it. I've whiskey, vodka, whatever. I've got it all, but it just sits there, like yours, it just sits there.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love whiskey, but I prefer tequila because it's more. There's less calories per alcohol, so you gain less weight by drinking more, which is more effective. So
yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
well,
Sometimes it's just have one nice drink at the end of the week, and then you can relax and focus on your projects and stuff.
yeah.
Speaking of Lulu, what have you been working on? Any coils at all this week? I know you were dabbling.
man, I still have them here. Let me show you guys. Like, hold on. Okay, so I have this. Oh, can you see this? Okay,
All right. Okay.
this thing. I don't have. It's supposed to do the. It's like a lazy Susan. I remove this. I was trying to get this. I don't. Here, let me move my thing. If you can see it, hold on, 1 second. Okay, can you see this? I taped the magnet. Okay,
Right.
and it's supposed to, like, it's supposed to move, but I need it on a flat surface. Hold on. Okay. Okay. I was trying to line up magnets all around this. It moves a bit, but then it stops and it goes back. So I'm still trying to tweak, but that's what
It
I've been
goes
working
into
on.
a magnetic locking. Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, that's it. Okay, magnetic locking. I didn't know what the word was, but yeah, that's what it's been doing. So I don't know. I think I need more magnets. I need a few more magnets. I don't know. I need to get a few more magnets maybe because I don't think
So
I
you're
have enough
trying to make
magnets.
what? You're trying to make what? Just like a magnet motor?
Yeah. See, like,
Yeah,
but
you might
I
want
don't.
to look into shielding the magnets. I've seen some guys shielding it, so when you go too far, it gets pulled in by the next pole. So
Yeah.
what you want to
It.
do is isolate the magnet with aluminum.
Okay.
Aluminum actually,
Add a
Like
piece
just
of
aluminum.
steel. Just add
Okay.
a
or
piece of steel
steel.
to one side.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
it.
But
How
that's what
about
I've.
I heard thick aluminum works too. It's a good reflector, so it kind of blocks the other field. You might want to look into what Harold Howard Johnson was doing back in the day. He kind of perfected that magnet motor. It's very
Okay.
tedious work,
It
but
is. It is tedious, but like the whole this thing, I found I bought it like from Target. It has like the little metal bearing balls right there already
right, yeah,
pre-built into it.
yeah,
But I can't find the
Nice.
other magnets. I moved them. It's like $5. So I had the little magnets lined up, but I moved them because I needed the table for something.
right.
And so, but yeah, but it was doing this. I would turn it, and then it would like go like this, and then it would go back for a little bit, and then it'll stop. It kept
Yep.
on doing that. So yeah, so this is where I am with this. And I
Yeah,
have a
look up how
magnet. Yeah, go
definitely
ahead.
look up Howard Johnson.
Yeah, you
Let me
need to
write that
shield
down.
one side
Yeah,
so that it continuously flows without the back, so it doesn't go backward.
Okay.
You have to shield the
Yep.
one side.
But this is a cool thing. If somebody wants to, like, it already has the little metal balls built in. I didn't have to like build the
holy
acrylic
cow!
stuff. It just, when I saw it, I was like, oh,
Unbel-
perfect. I need that, for my
I don't know.
project.
I don't know
Yeah, I
what's
got a
going
bunch of
on, but
those. They're like small to big. The
Yeah.
metal ring. They're
Yeah.
aluminum with ball bearings in it. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. So and I got a new drone, a little drone,
my my
Yeah.
StreamYard's crashing on me again. What the heck is going on here?
So this is
I've
my
never
yeah.
I've never had this happen to my StreamYard. It's just like the program's crashing. Oh man,
They're really coming after you tonight.
I don't know what the heck. Last
They
week I had
probably
no
hired
problems.
somebody new.
Yeah,
Then they're excited about their job.
somebody that actually cares. Holy man. Well,
No,
I'm
like
still running.
we're not doing anything wrong. So I think
Well,
they're too
the
excited.
stream is still running. It's my link from my laptop to StreamYard. It's pooched. So I actually have to restart it again, second time. The stream's still going. We're still live, which is a good thing. Unbelievable. I've never had this happen before. Well, to this degree, anyway. It just seemed like the second it started the show, because we were talking backstage for like 30 minutes, no problem whatsoever. So the second it went live, all the
Do you
craziness
use
started.
Windows?
Yes, this is actually it's Google Chrome I'm using, which is probably not the preferred.
You could use Vivaldi or Tor. It's a
Yeah, I'll
better,
have
more
to.
secure browser.
How about Firefox? Holy cow! What the heck? I did it again. All right, I'm gonna have to reboot this computer. Bernie, anything you've been working on, Mr. Bernie? Is Bernie there? Hello, Bernie. Well, I do have some news. I start my big build this week of my crystal battery cell. So these are the big ones. They're 12 by 12. They're huge. So I discussed it with the partner I'm working with. We're going to come up with an inventors version of the cell, which is going to be a lot smaller. It's going to probably be about 5 inch. So when we start producing those, I'll be selling those over the internet. I'll be advertising through my YouTube channel as well as over my Patreon. Obviously, my Patreons are going to get first dibs on it. So yeah, there's some interesting things.
Can you fully 3D print the parts?
No, it's not. It's not that you can't do 3D printing. It's the fact that I use about 13 different elements.
Yeah.
And some of that fabrication is actually in the plates itself. So yeah, it's pretty common and
They're
easy.
attacking your mic now, Mike.
Oh, hold on. Something happened here. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I got some issues here, and hopefully I can sort it out.
Just use
My
Linux,
Bluetooth.
man. You're not gonna get hacked by the CIA anymore.
You guys can talk for a minute while I sort my issue out. Let's see if I can get things going here. Just kind of bear with me, Nathan. If you guys just chat it up there, I'll try to get myself.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Take care of your stuff. Yeah, they were talking in the comments. Sean's talking about some Tesla coils and his tuning forks. You can't put a tuning fork next to a Tesla coil unless you get right close to the frequency, about 10 hertz. So you have to build your Tesla coil to the frequency of the tuning fork in order to make it work. So you're going to have to get it down around 425 hertz or somewhere low on that Tesla coil in order to get that to work, or else you're going to have to get a Tesla coil, and I don't think they make the frequency of like 325 kilohertz. So you may be out of luck on that one. You're going to have to go the other way. So, and I don't know how much capacitance you can put in there to get that.
Okay.
So that was just interesting what's going on there. Let's see what else we have going on in the comments. Everybody's saying hi. I don't know what the cowbell comment was for. I don't know what that was all about. But whatever. Anyway. Yeah, it is interesting when you talk about frequency and tuning and things like that. It's like two ships in the night. Like if you took something around 500 kilohertz and then 400 or just regular hertz, they won't activate each other. It has to be something that's pretty much on it. That's the way it has to be. And then when they're on it together, they change the frequency once it resonates, and it'll come out a little different than that. So anyway.
Oh, we lost Mike.
We lost them all together. They're really after him tonight, man.
We lost Mike
he's working.
at his own show.
Now, but he's got like an important job. He's one of them. Maybe like, I don't know,
They're blocking him outside.
Yeah, like why are they doing that? Like
So
he's one of the NATO people, So
Yeah.
Phil, that light experiment you were doing last time, that like a little while back, is that the experiment that they're taking on when you're talking about earlier?
The light experiment, you mean the interferometer?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I saw a room and I saw some stuff moving and some lights going on.
Yeah. That was just to prove that a magnet can indeed deflect light.
You do a full bar again?
Because a magnet is a source of energy density, and energy density it creates a force and it's gonna deflect light. That's what gravity is. Gravity, that's all it is. It's a gravitoelectric energy density potential, and we're attracted to the Earth because there's a potential of energy,
So if I create a big enough magnetic field, can I make like what kind of light? Just like regular light or
Yeah, a laser, any light, all electromagnetic waves is gonna get deflected by a magnet, but it needs to be very sensitive to the point of an interferometer is extremely sensitive, and yeah, so that's what I was showing off because there's a lot of people. If you look on the YouTube, if you look on YouTube, you're gonna find people trying to make light deflect using magnet, but they don't do it the correct way. They need to use an interferometer, which is a lot more sensitive. And so yeah, that was the point of that experiment, and the Cavendish experiment as well. The Cavendish experiment is proves that the rod is attracted by light when the light is turned on, and that's very interesting because again, the energy density potential creates a force, creates an acceleration. So that it cannot be more obvious. I mean, it's all non-scientific experiment, but there's like 4 or 5 of them that shows the same thing. So,
there's 5.
So does the light speed up or slow down at all when it gets deflected?
Yes, it gets deflected because on one end it slows down. The closer it is to the magnet, it's the edge of the photon closer to the magnet is gonna slow down, which will that's what is gonna make the photon deflect because one edge is being slowed down and the other edge is at a different speed. So that's why.
So it has an angle to it. So as one slows down, the other one speeds up.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's like bending light.
Yeah. That's what it is. And the other thing, like I was saying the other day, the other cool thing that I'm saying in my paper is the light is a function of frequency.
Right.
So the higher the frequency is, the faster the photon will go. The difference is not big. It's like the macro scale. You can observe things like that with supernovas from distant galaxies, but it is observable, and there is a difference. The higher the frequency of the photon will be, the faster the photon will travel.
I'm gonna have to work that into something I do because that just sounds cool.
Yeah, it's
the faster it'll vibrate.
Sorry?
The faster it'll vibrate.
Yeah.
Saturate. I don't know about traveling light. Light propagates. It doesn't travel.
Well, the photon it moves. We call it.
No, it propagates. There's a difference. Propagation, like a wave.
Propagation is like a wave.
Right. You just said light is a function of frequency.
But it's
a wave frequency. It's a frequency wave.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It propagates like all frequencies. It's just hard to see that.
You can divide it down to the Planck scale, to a maximum scale, which is the Planck scale, which makes it looks like a particle. But all I'm saying is you can subdivide it down to the Planck scale.
So what Mike was saying, so it slides like a snake, just like you would see it on your oscilloscope, but does it shorten and go straighter? You know what I mean? Like, does the snake come in and wind super fast versus like this in the light? Is that?
It's like a wave. It's like a wave, like Mike says, but you can just divided down to a maximum minimal size, like the electron. The photon is around the size of an electron, and you cannot go smaller than that size. It's
Okay.
you cannot be smaller than an electron or a photon. But multiple photons, it's like a wave, because if you look at stars, very distant stars, if it was just a particle, what would be the chances of a photon being emitted from stars from light years away to hit the retina of our eye? It's like it's very.
That's why I think it propagates, because
Yeah,
it has to propagate for it to reach us. Otherwise, it won't.
yeah,
It
exactly.
has to shift.
Like bounce off of things.
No, it propagates by the light is
I think I'm
hitting. It hits one area of space and it propagates through that to the next area and keeps propagating to the next area of space till it's being translated to the eye.
I'll be right back, guys. I'll be back in 5.
If it were to just go from point A to point B without propagating along the way, it wouldn't probably. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with
He's
you.
gone. He's gone.
It wouldn't make it.
He was back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean,
Unless it's going through a wormhole. I mean,
it has to be a wave, but I mean, you cannot just infinitely divide it. There's a maximum of maximum you can reach in its
I don't think there is a maximum, because if you can keep propagating, there's nothing stopping the signal from echoing along the way.
Yeah, sorry, I meant that there's a minimum size that light can get, and that's the Planck scale.
So hold on.
But as long as it's still being generated, it'll keep going throughout space until it stops generating its source from the source.
So
yeah,
are you saying that light from stars, based on what's around it, could be closer than we think or further away than we think, based on the interference of anything magnetic? So anything with a magnetic field or anything like that would influence it. Is that kind of where you're going with it?
Right. It slightly bends it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could be at a different distance than what they're calculating, because they're not calculating the speed of light correctly.
Right. It's like lensing. Like it might be in a different space, a place in space.
Say they can, but they can't.
But you see it in a different place. It lenses, like it curves.
Yeah, but it's like
but you can't calculate that curve unless you know the strength of the source frequency.
No, just recently they actually discovered that some of the light that we're seeing is lens light, not actual location of where that light is supposed to be. It's lensed there. Just recently they I think it's Hubble that the images that it sent back, it showed that the light is being lensed. Not
I heard from some conference or something that they said that light is when the magnetic field bends onto itself, curves onto itself, into itself, curves into itself. The magnetic field is curving into itself, and then the light is formed. That's what I heard. It sounds plausible, because you would need a strong magnetic field curving in on itself would produce light, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It could be the source of the light, not necessarily the transmission of the light, but the source of it, is when the magnetic field, the strongest point of the magnetic field, or whatever.
But light, whatever it is a positron and an electron overlapping.
I know, but we're talking about a magnetic field bending light out, in a different path, which is true also. But keep in mind that light may also be produced by a magnetic field bending in on itself. So that's throws a cog in our little wheel there of calculating where the light's coming from after it's been bent around the magnetic field of a star or whatever. Knowing the possibility that light is generated by a magnetic field in the first place kind of changes the everything, in that respect to where is the light going when it bends around the magnetic field of a star? It's also being generated by a magnetic field. So what if
So, Mike,
so what if
you
stars
trying
are
to say
created
that
by magnetic fields bending in on themselves? That creates the star or whatever, the light.
So hold on. Are you trying to say that it bends around the solar system a little
So the
bit?
magnetic field has its own curve, but at some point it just curves too far into itself, and
Right.
and not necessarily collapses, but compresses infinitely or whatever in that way, and produces such a energy field of light. Stars created when a magnetic field bends in on itself. That's what I heard. I can't remember where I heard that, but it stuck with me. I like the idea. So you got like these Birkeland currents out there. They're like huge lightning bolts. They look to us like a star. For I don't know how many decades we thought they were just stars, and then the equipment got better to the point where we were able to prove the theory that this guy Birkeland theorized before it got proven, that some of these lights that we are calling stars are not really stars. They're huge lightning bolts the size of an entire cosmos. Sometimes
But they stay there where we see them as stars, or they flash in and out. What are they doing?
They're just there, a light. It's like a everlasting lightning bolt, like the Zeus's bolt. But we have been seeing them as just starlight for the past couple decades until our equipment got good enough to determine that they're not really stars. That light that we thought was stars is not stars at all. And from that evidence, they deduced that Birkeland might be right about his theory of the existence of these massive lightning bolts that are they just cut through entire universes. And if you think of what kind of magnetic field is that,
Yeah.
it's just if that's possible.
All you need to have to create light is a magnetic field and an electric field overlapping. That's going to create an electromagnetic field, which is what this light is. But now you're gonna ask me, well, what frequency do you need? But there's already a frequency in the magnetic field and the electric field.
Well, it might be a certain frequency that causes the magnetic field. When the magnetic field reaches that particular frequency, it does cause it to curve into itself. Being the frequency is already the spiral shape, Maybe certain
What kind of
frequencies
light
create
is
that
it
spiral
making?
that squeeze it into it,
What kind of light is it making? Like what do the magnetic field? What kind of light does it make?
Yeah, if
Like-
you take the magnetic field and you divide the magnetic field, it's in Tesla, right? Tesla is
gauze. They call it gauze.
yeah, gauze or Tesla is the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you take Tesla, the measurement unit is a frequency times kilogram per coulomb. So there's a frequency right there. So the Tesla will tell you what what is the frequency of the magnetic field already. So yeah, I don't have a presentation with me, but you have to visualize it. So it's really a frequency times kilogram per coulomb. The kilogram per coulomb is some sort of constant. A constant that tells you how many kilograms there are per coulomb. So you can convert the mass and the charge can be converted back and forth because it's a form of energy. So it's the same thing. So therefore the Tesla is a frequency times kilogram per coulomb. Same thing with an electric field. Electric field is a frequency times the speed of light times the kilogram per coulomb. So you just electric field is the same thing. You just have to divide it by the speed of light and the kilogram per coulomb, but it has a frequency component in it as well. So electric field has a frequency, magnetic field has a frequency. You overlap them together is going to create light at a certain frequency. But I guess light, you need both frequency to be the same. I don't know. I don't know what would happen if you have the electric field that has a one frequency and the magnetic field has a different frequency. There is still some sort of electromagnetic wave. You know.
Well, when you excite the photons, they'll start emitting light. You know that happens at a higher frequency.
Yeah, but the photon has
the light frequencies. You know.
Yeah, but the photon has the frequency of the electric field and the magnetic field are the same. But what if you have a electric field with a different frequency from the magnetic field? I mean, it's still an electromagnetic wave, but what is that? What is it? It's still something, you know?
You're saying the electric and the magnetic are different frequencies?
Yeah. Yeah. So if
that's
you
hard
have
to imagine. How does that even?
That's important key right here.
Oh, wow. I did high voltage experiments when it comes with light, right? And the more amps, the more wider it gets. But then the less amps, it goes into yellow. And then we get into a reddish stage. And then we go into like a purple stage when it gets to the barely can run. But if I put like a laser or something on it, I'm curious to see if it changes the color at that point from what I had. Like, if that's one magnetic field in the laser versus another magnetic field of the experiment, you know what I mean?
Well, every color has its own frequency, though.
Just it.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm adding more heat to that one area, not all of it.
Every color has a unique
frequency.
Like red and blue are different frequencies. Yellow's a different frequency. Green, different.
No, I understand that.
Red is hydrogen and blue is oxygen.
I don't know the frequencies, but I know they're different. You know.
Yeah, but the frequency, the frequencies are different, but you're assuming that the frequency of the electric field is the same as the magnetic field. But what happens when the electric field has a different frequency from the magnetic field?
How do you do that, though? I mean, how do you actually do that?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's.
How would you actually produce that?
Well, you just you use a capacitor and you add a magnetic field next to it or something like that, and I mean, it's gonna create the.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of events. I'm not saying they can't happen. I don't think man's able to do it though. It might be in space going on, you know, things like that. But we have to send our electric out at a frequency to get the magnetic to function. To even become a magnetic, it has to be transmitted at a frequency, and that magnetic will be created at that frequency. If I'm pretty sure, you know.
Yeah.
Would it make a difference if it's in a vacuum sealed chamber to conduct this experiment? Would you be able, you know, would it make a difference?
I know the volts are ahead of the amps by 90 degrees. Is that correct, Mike? Like the volts are 90 degrees ahead of the amps.
Oh, are you talking like a magnetic wave? Is that what you're going with, Mike?
Yeah, because the amps will make the magnetic, but the volts won't. Well, the volts will, but not until the amps catch up.
Yeah, so as one thins, the other one thickens in a 90-degree angle. Yes, that's
it takes 90 degrees for the amps to catch up to the volts.
But that's just the way we see it. I don't know if it's 100% 90 degrees or if it's off a little. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that's how we always picture it.
It's around there, you know, 90 or so.
So what exactly are we seeing in space when the amps like get thicker? Is that's what we're observing? If one needs to catch up to the other.
when you know that the amps are lagging the volts, it tells you the volts is obviously more impactful than the amps because the volts is transmitted first. It's
okay. So in
it's ahead
space,
of the
which
amps. So
one?
the volts is the first signal to get to the other end of the coil. The amps is 90 degrees behind it, which is rather quick in time reference, but it's still measurable.
So the more heat you have in your system, the slower the voltage gets there, is what you're saying. And we don't detect it in what we do, but for other things, yeah.
If you have enough volts to get across whatever resistance, it will get across there at, I think, faster than the speed of light, because it's not light. It's a pressure wave. It's a pressure wave. It's pressure. It's potential. It's a potential wave. And then the current is transmitted with the volts, but it's 90 degrees behind it, which once you know that, you kind of got to keep thinking about that. Tells you that the volts has got more impact than the amps overall, universally, since it's able to transmit through the coil before the amps.
So one is speed, one is pressure.
Right. Well, one is current, or one is flow, not necessarily travel or distance, but flow, as you know, like the river flows, or like a circular flow, revolutions per second. Yeah, speed, right? RPMs. So the more amps, the more flow, RPMs per second you're generating. But the volts is just there to get those cycles, those RPMs across the other side of whatever inductor or resistive path there is, which, yeah. I mean, if you had
if we're talking about electricity, we're talking about like a linear line, and it just depends on the thickness of the wire. So if
it's
thinner,
it's vibration. So lines don't matter, curves don't matter, angles don't matter. It's vibration. It's a vibration. The frequency is a vibration, so it's going to propagate through any geometry, through the vibration. Not because it doesn't have to go in a straight line. It's a vibration.
So I see it as the volts as they're snaking through, they're going super fast.
Maybe you could direct.
And the amps create a swirl to slow it down. So it pulls on it and slows it down. That's the way I always see it in my head.
The amps are pulling what down though? Themselves? Because they're not pulling the volts down.
They're changing the speed. So if we turned it into light, it would change the speed of light. If you add more amps to it versus volts, we add more volts, it goes faster. So I always see it as something creating a vortex in it that wasn't originally there, or a field around it, like magnets do. They always create that round field, but it's pulling the voltage back. So it wasn't going as fast as it should.
Do you know what I'm getting? The image of when you guys are talking, how the solar system propagates through space. You've got the sun in the middle, and then the planets all around, but they still, go around while the sun is moving, like, and it sounds like if you've got that energy in the middle, but everything else is, going around to, like all in one unit, I don't know if that makes sense. But if you've seen the video of how the solar system moves through space, and it does that whole helix, it almost sounds like what you guys are describing, but we're talking on a cosmic scale.
Absolutely, Lulu, and it's, I believe, Nassim Haramine's model that you're referring to of it, and it's like the DNA spiral helix of the Earth, the Moon, around the Sun, around the center of the galaxy. It's wild.
Yeah, like I saw this. Yeah, I mean, just we're talking like
it's like killing my hearing aids right now.
Yeah. What is it?
Bernie, he's not near his mic, so it's like it's digging into my hearing aids when he talks. It's got like a weird sound in it.
Yeah, you sound a little buzzy tonight, Bernie.
My apologies. Is this a little better, or hold on?
Yeah, it's better.
Sorry, I had Ashton Forbes on in the background. That's why. Not bad.
Yeah, my computer's
right. Free Energy Fridays. We got to get acting.
Yeah. Well, my computer is off right now because it's giving me nothing but trouble. So I'm actually running the whole show from a cell phone.
Oh, nice.
I always use a cell phone. It works.
The CIA is not gonna get you alive.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Right?
they got
And
your number.
helping you
My
kill us.
computer.
Yeah, so
Is it
so
something you're
I
going to
put in
publish?
the chat the measurement unit of the electric field and the magnetic field, and you can see kilogram. You have the in the numerator. You have kilogram. In the denominator, you have coulomb. I put a double letter, so it should be one C and one M and one S. But
I don't even know what a
I
coulomb is.
put it double letters because otherwise my math tool is going to confuse them with variables. So these are measurement units, but you can see it's kilogram per coulomb. The magnetic field B is kilogram per coulomb times frequency. Same thing with electric field. It's kilogram per coulomb times frequency times speed of light. So you have a frequency on both of them.
Can I put those in the public chat, or you want them to stay in private?
No, put them in the public chat.
I guess, distinguishing between an electric field and a magnetic field is hard to do. In my eyes, they're the same, one and the same.
It's the same thing. You just add the speed of light for the electric field. It's very simple.
I mean, isn't the magnetic field and the electric field, isn't that the same thing, though?
Well, they are a part of the same thing because the second you put electricity through an inductor of any kind,
You got to get a magnetic. You can't do it without it.
Magnetic field, right? Exactly. So
there's no way to create an electric field through any material that's not going to produce you some magnetic response.
So let's say like Tesla's a longitudinal wave. It is non-electromagnetic. It could transport electrical energy without a magnetic field, which sounds impossible, but that was Tesla's biggest discovery. So,
what, wirelessly? Maybe.
Yeah, well, it's longitudinal. It's basically like an impulse wave. That's what Tesla calls it.
Right. Yeah, but you're not using material to transmit. You're just going through the air.
Right. Exactly. And that's why the stuff that would slow things down, like say a magnetic field, it will have interference in space to slow it down. That's why the speed of light is basically a magnetic field bending in on itself, which makes light. That's why it's limited to 186,900 feet per second as the speed of light.
Yeah, but a radio signal does have a slight magnetic field.
Oh, right. Hold on.
But Tesla says a longitudinal wave is the speed of light pi over 2. So I seen this one interview he did with Chris Carson, and the guy in the audience says, well, that's exceeding C. And he goes, what's the limit? And Dollar looks at him kind of giggling. He goes, what limit? There is no limit like this. So when you're using a longitudinal wave, the speed of light means absolutely nothing. There is nothing to slow this wave down or this impulse. So that guy in the audience is just like, holy cow, like, it's pi over 2 to the speed of light. So that's like more than double, the speed of light.
That explains the UFOs and how they move so fast, because they're not in the light thing. They're in longitudinal wave.
Right, exactly. And that's what,
right. It displaces the medium.
That's exactly what I use in my experiment.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
Do you see the pattern? The pattern in the equation I just added, the electric field?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's just the magnetic field times the speed of light.
Right.
It's all the same thing.
But if you remove the magnetic field from the equation completely, now you can go way beyond the speed of light because there's no magnetic field involved. And I think that's what Dollard was getting to, what Tesla was talking about. He says, as soon as you remove the magnetic field and go into a longitudinal state, there is no limit. You exceed C.
But longitudinal waves are not going through any copper wire. They're just going through the air.
Well, it's instantaneous propagation. So we could have a conversation with somebody on Mars.
Right, it propagates by displacing the medium.
That's right. That's
so
right.
It flips the electrons.
So
no, it pushes the medium.
It's an instantaneous propagation.
With each signal pulse or signal oscillation, it's pushing along.
Isn't it using the hydrogen line? Like
no, it's
just radio waves.
No, it's an impulse wave through space. It's like
just generating a signal wave.
When you take a rope and you start whipping it up and down like a skipping rope and you see the wave, look at that's Hertzian. So a longitudinal is that same skipping rope held tight, and then one side you give it a little flick and you'll see this impulse wave go straight across.
Oh, it's like the telephone game with the rope and the
right, but it's being done on an antenna, right? It's done on a vertical antenna, though, right?
Well, no, there is an antenna, but there's nothing in between the two.
No, I'm saying they transmit longitudinal waves on vertical antennas.
Yeah,
because then it pushes the medium.
Well, actually, they're horizontal. Actually, they're horizontal. So, like a Tesla coil, so like a Tesla coil standing up. But the longitudinal wave's not coming out the side; it's coming out the top.
Oh.
That's why. So I actually done this experiment. So when I take two Tesla coils and I face them towards each other like this, if I put a neon bulb or what do you call fluorescent tube in the middle, when the two longitudinal waves hit that bulb, you would think it would light up. Well, the sides light up, but the middle where the longitudinal waves are bombarding each other, it cancels out. It disappears. So Dollar says, where's it going? It's going into counter space.
What disappears?
With the two waves, the two energy propagations, when they hit each other dead on, they disappear. There's a cancellation of
they cancel each other. Oh.
They cancel each other out. So you get that dark spot in the middle. You'll have light on either side of the tube, right side.
So they're not in phase then. If they were in phase, they wouldn't cancel. They'd amplify.
Well,
it's creating a miniature black hole, right? It's like
it's going into counter space. It's going into counter space.
What is that? Going into 180 degrees out of phase?
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know where it's going. He says it cancels out.
Were his two signals in phase?
Of course, they're in phase together. Yeah.
And they still canceled out.
Yep.
They should have amplified.
No, they disappeared. They went into counter space, and this is what Dollard was talking about in his lecture. He says that shouldn't happen. No,
that's correct. That should not. When you have signals that are in phase, they as long as one of the signals is more than one, just a little more than one, you'll have amplification.
And I've actually done this experiment. It does work. I've done it.
So what does CERN do exactly then? Aren't they like smashing two,
they're using electromagnetic coils in a long, hollow circular ring tube to push hydrogen atoms in two directions and smash them into each other at high speed using electromagnetic fields.
Isn't that the same concept what you're saying? Like they, when the two things meet together, if it's canceling out, like there's nothing.
Now,
shouldn't they be actually smashing and then things, like?
Well, we're talking about hydrogen here, not a wave. Hydrogen is actual matter,
See, they've actually done this experiment wrong. They're using electromagnetic waves to propel the matter. Why not use Tesla's longitudinal wave, having two Tesla coils, one on either side of that toroid, and have that field go around and bombard at a point. Now, what they'll see is now they've exceeded C. If you exceed C, what happens to those particles?
They disappear.
I think they actually would disappear.
Yeah,
I think they would switch dimensions. You would lose those particles. If they were to do that experiment in CERN, it would blow their mind. Because of the fact that the basis of how the CERN system works is on electromagnetic acceleration in a high vacuum tube. So they can only go speed of light. That's it. That's why they see all those collisions happen. But if they were to do it with Tesla coils, doing the same thing, but having the longitudinal waves go in opposite directions and then intersect and bombard, I bet you all those particles would go bye-bye. They would vanish.
Mike, you should contact them and give them that idea. You should
No, we don't want them opening the demon portal fully.
Really? What if the other dimension is a better place? What if it's not a demon place, like you think?
Segue. Just want to interject.
Utopia.
Sorry. What I was showing there is some red state pink crystal material that I was just able to harvest that I just produced over the last day here, and yeah, it's a very good sample and a pure sample of it. So I'm getting a whole bunch of samples together to start sending all of you some samples to play with and see if you can make these materials do superconducting antigravitic things, right? Maybe make their way disappear.
Yeah. So, you know what? As far as anti-gravity is concerned, I think if you can exceed C, and I think Nathan's in the right direction, totally. If you start using your Tesla coils and point them straight dead on to the gravifier, you might get some interesting effects. Who knows? Like, I'm just shooting an idea out there.
Well,
I don't even
I'll be honest with you.
work.
They should have put one dead in the center of this thing from the get-go. It would have made my life a lot easier, but they didn't do that. Now I have to. Now it comes in and it goes from a longitudinal wave to a transverse wave, and I got to pop it back to a longitudinal wave.
Right.
So that's what the piezo is supposed to do, is pull it back up. So that might be on purpose. It might not, but it would have been just so much easier for lift just to put it in the center from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My whole life would have been easier. I would have been done with this months ago.
Is transverse the same as Hertzian?
Well, it's a wave. It's a wave form.
It's horizontal.
Right? It's electromagnetic.
It's horizontal wave.
It could be horizontal. It could be sine wave. It's Hertzian. It creates a magnetic field. Okay, a longitudinal wave
It's a vertical wave. It's a vertical wave.
It's a vertical wave that does not create a magnetic field. It doesn't exist. And
vertically, you're going straight up against gravity. Horizontally, you're not. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, it's just the
reason why longitudinal does not create a magnetic field. Maybe that's why.
That's what Tesla was emphasizing, the significance of the longitudinal wave, because of the fact that it doesn't create a magnetic wave in the Hertzian form. That's why it can exceed C. There is no limit. It's instantaneous propagation.
Well, see, if you build Tesla coils long enough, you get the skinny ones, okay?
Right.
And they go cold in the center, so you can always rob their power. When they get bigger, now they flow. Now you're getting the flow that's more in there, so it gets even colder than it's supposed to get.
Right.
That's what cools down everything. But that's what also makes it lift. You have to have that. Mm-hmm. The problem is the Tesla coil doesn't have enough flow. It's got a little coil here and a long coil here.
Right.
You need to change the thing. You need to change it like this. So if I can
Honestly,
create a Tesla coil that looks like a UFO, I'd be sweet.
You know what? I think Tesla made the Tesla coil for a reason, for us in the future to decode it. I think there's a lot more secrets to the Tesla coil than originally what people thought. Oh yeah, it just makes sparks.
Oh, have you ever seen Sean's Tesla coils?
Sean's?
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, the round one. Yeah, I seen the round one there last week.
Oh, you got to wait till you see the rest of them. He's got these things winding and everything, and they're just like AC flybacks. It completely blows the mold round. But then, if he puts a core in the center that's hollow, I mean, you know what I mean? He's gonna get something totally different than he does with just the pure round shape.
Right.
So he's got a whole different thing going on there, man. And he's only scratched the surface, but it's like way beyond everyone else already.
Have you ever had him on your show yet, or?
Oh yeah, he was on just last week. He presented and everything, and he showed his Tesla coils. Like I said, though, in talking to him, I know he's way ahead. So, but that's the next step. I want to get a UFO shaped one. You know what I mean? Where I can get the actual features that I want, because I'm not getting it out of the gravity flyer like I wanted to, not in the amount that I need. You know what I mean? Because it drags it down based on some of the other parts of it.
Yeah, the other device that Dollard really talked about, and Dollard's a real cutthroat when it comes to real devices versus fictional devices. He sticks with what he knows is real. And one device that is actually really interesting, you should look into, is the Integratron.
I have looked into it.
Yeah,
hey, Mike.
George Van Tassel. Yeah, look into him. He was an interesting character, that guy.
Mike, I'm not able.
Yes.
I don't have a link to stream this to my channel on the stream.
Yeah, well, because I've got the free version, it limits me on certain.
Well,
things.
Ben's streaming it.
Ben can do it because he's got probably the paid version, right?
I have a paid version too.
No. He's doing it through like another program like OBS.
Oh wait, that other thing, Streamlabs or whatever.
Else. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Streamlabs. Okay.
That's how he's doing
Streamlabs. Okay.
Yeah, he's not doing it on this.
Right.
I'm gonna have to do this.
Different plan.
By the way, Fantastical frequency equals 1 over time, right?
Yes.
When you create it correctly, you're going to get a waveform that goes like this. And we were talking about it before, it's circles, but then take 100 markers and all of them are doing it, right? That's what you're getting, but it's going to expand, right? And when it expands, you're going to get a whole lot of static electricity. If you're standing in that area between the expansion and that, then time change. It's a time dilation.
Yeah.
So it explains the F equals 1 over T. Perfectly. It perfectly explains exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Because like the propagation of static electricity is pi over 2 to the speed of light. So
that's why it's imperative to have in anything that lifts.
That's right. You have to exceed C to get any gravity. I don't care what anybody tells me. You have to exceed C.
Nathan, I have a question with the Graviflyer.
Yeah,
so it creates a whole big old bubble, right? Like of energy. Is time inside of that area different than time outside of that area?
The problem is it creates it more like a magnetosphere. So it's creating 2 bubbles, one on top, one on the bottom. If it created 1, we would have already been done. The problem is it's creating 2. And now you have to pop fields between the 2 in order to get it to lift. Does that make sense? So it would be better with a hole in the plate in the center, no center plate, you know what I mean? With the rotating things on the outside of a Tesla coil would have been so much simpler. You know what I mean? But
so it's not creating any time dilation. Its current
it
state.
Could in the disc, but they're not strong enough. They don't have the right frequency on them and everything. So it's probably not.
It would be kind of cool, like if you can, and then you turn this thing on for like I don't know a day or 2, and then you go outside into the world and You're ahead of everybody, you know, like a day or
It's
two.
a time pausing machine.
Not the way this one is. It doesn't have the right geometry to it to do it.
You turn it on and pause time for 2 days. And
I have basically a field generator is what the Gravity Flyer is. It's a field generator. And basically it just happens to make lift if you know how. That's it. But its total job, I can tell you this as a fact, it's a field generator. Okay. It generates a Tesla coil field because you're rotating the Tesla coil. At that point, if you put it on the disc that rotate, it'll create a field. And then if you put a high voltage on it, it'll push that field. Okay. If you put the Tesla coil to the center plate, it'll hold in a high voltage field or static field. So it's basically a field generator.
a
That's
Tesla
what
field,
this
but
thing
not a
is.
magnetic field or whatever.
Oh,
See,
it'll be. It has more magnetics on the Tesla coil than it does on the static, so it holds it in.
So if it was really strong enough, it could create a warp field. It could, like, you know, right or no?
Oh, I could create one big field, and I can have it hold on to a lot of static electricity. But it would have been much easier just to create an outside shell and produce it on that spun. Would have been so much easier. Yeah,
the heavy side. And if you look back in history at Oliver Heaviside, man, did academia attack him. Oh my God. Like literally, they made the poor guy go nuts. And they suppressed him and everything. There's one guy to really look into is Oliver Heaviside.
I'll have to take a look at it. Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, Oliver Heaviside.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did a number on him.
It would be so much easier. Look, I could put a piece of paper around the whole thing and get much more effect than I ever could leaving it wide open like this. So, because then I can magnetize it, I can then create charge, I can move it anywhere I wanted to, and it wouldn't be a problem. It's wide open, and it has to have an enclosure, and that's like one of the main failures of it.
Like say like a glass dome around it, would that work?
Well, I don't know if glass, but like
or
I said,
even plastic, plastic
I
sphere.
If you put plastic around it like a balloon, then the inside would heat up, and if the balloon can take it, it would lift up. Because it'd be basically a hot air balloon at that point. You're putting so much energy into it.
Now, if you use actually, I was thinking something more like a dielectric. Now, apparently, polylactic acid, which they call PLA for 3D printing, it's one of the most common materials that they use for 3D printing. If you printed that and put that around your Graviflyer, I don't think it would heat up because it's a dielectric. Actually, it's a very good dielectric.
If I put it needs to hold it. So the PLA won't hold the charge. So I need it to hold it. So I need to add paper. So paper mache the outside, and we might be all right.
Paper, actually, what you might want to use is tar, paraffin wax or beeswax, and tin foil. You can use tin foil as well. That's what Townsend Brown was using making his lifters. So he was basically making like a dome-shaped capacitor is what it is. That holds electrostatic charge.
Well, it depends on the amount you want to hold it for, how quickly to discharge the charges. That you have to take that in consideration because styrofoam holds the charge for a long time, but it also takes longer to charge. Where paper charges and discharges almost immediately.
Right. So that's why he was using the tar and he was using beeswax or paraffin wax. Now, he was pumping in over 400,000 volts in some of the devices, actually some up to 4 million volts.
Yeah, that's insane. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of charge.
Sounds like density determines the charge rate.
Yeah, you're building a electrostatic condenser is what you're making. You know, it holds that charge.
Yeah.
So
would the Faraday cloth work? like that there's a cloth. It's like a
No, that
Faraday cage.
neutralizes. No, that neutralizes. Yeah, you want something to hold that charge in. So even mica, if you were to get some kind of material that has mica in it, that's like a sheet or a foil.
Is that the stuff?
If it
Is
has
that the stuff they use for the cooking stuff? Like
capacitors.
that, that
Yeah,
black
you
stuff.
can.
It's an insulator.
Yeah, well, it's
Okay.
an insulator. They use it for ceramic capacitors. It's mica. It comes from the ground. It's actually a rock, right? A very, very porous rock. It's very brittle. It flakes off. It's really a unique type of rock. I've actually held some in my hand. It's pretty interesting.
They use them to insulate transistors against heat sinks.
Yep. So
Mica. Is that what that's the one you were talking about, mica? It's underneath the pyramid in Mexico, right? They found
yes, it is.
Maybe the pyramid is a transistor, and it's the Earth is the heat sink. Maybe they're insulating against the Earth with it. Strange.
Yeah, because it's good at insulator. Yes.
Yeah, it holds electrostatic charge. So, say if a lightning bolt were to hit that pyramid, guess what's going to absorb all that energy? The mica in the ground,
or the pyramid.
Well, it'll go through the pyramid. If the pyramid's made of, say,
you're saying the mica will slow down the discharge of the bolt, so don't destroy anything.
Yeah,
it'll absorb it and let it out slowly, I guess. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you'll have electrostatic charge, so that whole space where that pyramid's sitting is going to be charged electrostatically.
So in a sense, mica could be a storage device.
Sure. Well, they use it in capacitors today. So
to store or to insulate? Oh, I guess you're insulating your
well, you're insulating between two plates, right? So
and the environment. So that's how you create storage.
So
there's this product called
that.
Flex Seal. There's this product called Flex Seal. It's like a rubbery black thing. You could, if you have something like that's broken or cracked, but it's like it comes in different colors. But I think that would be a very good insulator for what you're talking about. Like, I don't know if you've seen the commercials for it. It's called, I think that stuff would work really well.
Yeah.
Let's check that out. Because it would be so much easier just to build a whole separate thing that's done right.
Yeah, like Townsend Brown, he was using tinfoil, he was using tar, he was using paraffin wax or beeswax.
Wouldn't you want something light? Like light is something. Is it heavy?
It wouldn't really matter.
Weight?
It wouldn't matter because his device was actually creating a lot of lift for the amount of voltage.
Yeah, but you're also creating a field bubble that makes it separate from the Earth itself.
Right.
So it would be like the weight it would be on the moon versus the weight that it is here. It wouldn't really, matter because you're creating that field bubble.
Well, here, going back to magnetic field bending light. Well, if you can bend light with a magnetic field, it's not far off to think that you can bend gravity.
Well, see, that's what I was asking, because if I can spin that Tesla coil, you know what I mean, on that plate, I want to put up a laser to it, and I want to see if it moves it at all. You know what I mean?
All you got to do is bend gravity around the craft, not through it.
I mean, I just want to see what it does. If it can just bend just a little bit on the little edge of it.
Deflect gravity, not necessarily bend it,
but I can find a way to see it.
Yeah, with the laser light. Yeah,
I don't think these craft are canceling gravity or doing anything such of a thing. I think they're just superpositioning themselves in the gravity field by deflecting it around the craft.
Yeah, but it makes a lot of sense when you look at Alexi's infrared on the gravity flyer. You see the field. It's clear as day. It's right there.
Of course,
so
it's going to be on the shell of the craft because
showing,
it's deflected.
Yeah, something in that light's showing it. So, somehow
if you see light on the craft, if you see light or coronas on the craft, that means that and it's obviously anti-gravitic. That must mean the gravity is not penetrating through the matter of the craft and not affecting the craft. It's going around the craft.
That's right. It's
creating that corona. The gravity field is creating that
So
corona.
yeah, so
Nathan,
you
but
gotta
you're right.
find.
It would be nice to see it. It would be fun to
Because
actually
you could
visually
use
see
a
it
magnetic
through
field
glacier.
to bend light. Stars, magnetic fields do that. You're bending light with a magnetic field. It's not far away to bend gravity with a magnetic field.
Well, yeah, because you're canceling, creating that field. Gravity cannot penetrate it as it were penetrating, a
And
regular
it makes
solid
sense now how
object.
these craft are able to disappear
You're
because they
deflecting.
already bend gravity. Now
Well,
they
you're
can bend light too.
deflecting. Yeah, I think it's a deflection principle, and not so much canceling it out. It's a deflection
Right.
of gravity.
It's not canceling gravity, right? It's deflecting it around.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot less energy to do that. If you had to cancel even the weakest force in the universe, it's still a lot of energy to cancel the weakest force in the universe, in my opinion. Because maybe a weak force, but it's everywhere. It's grand. It's the grand force.
Yeah, but
because
you don't want to go against that, but you can have it go around you a lot easier and cheaper on your own energy by deflection.
See, the problem is nobody's been able to establish
magnetic field.
Not the magnetic field, the constant of the zero, what the zero is in space, because the Earth is moving through space, over 200,000 kilometers per hour. We're traveling around the sun. Our sun's traveling through, the cosmos at a huge velocity of speed. So therefore, even though gravity is the weakest force we know of, it has a profound force on any matter because we're traveling so fast through space. We haven't been able to establish a ground point, a zero. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
there's no absolute grid. That's what you're saying.
Right.
Everything
There is no absolute zero.
Yeah.
Right?
What is that anyway? What does that mean? A balance point?
No, a zero stop point in space, because we're moving through space.
Does that mean no
right
motion
now.
or a point where there's no motion?
Right, exactly.
I don't think that exists, Mike. That doesn't exist.
The 0 point is where the most significant mass in the most important mass in the universe is. It will define where everything else is rotating around.
If you look at it like that, that might exist.
Yes.
But if that doesn't exist, if there's two of those objects, the same size, the biggest objects in the universe, and if there's two of them, then there's no such thing as balance.
It's also too, like with the speed of light, kind of on the different side.
Even though they're the same size.
Like the speed of light, Eric Dollard calls it an arbitrary constant, because the speed of light is not constant. So therefore, it's an arbitrary constant because the speed of light varies. It's not a continuous speed. Other things will influence the speed of light to slow it down, speed it up, whatever. So, he says that regular mainstream science just uses that as a benchmark
for
speed of light, to calculate speed going through space. Where he's saying, he says, why? How can you use that if it's arbitrary?
How can you even benchmark it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just assuming that there's no particles, no nothing, and like complete like emptiness, and per second it would equal like 200 something, 3 I think, right?
Okay,
the speed of light.
I have a good answer for Mike to explain what I'm talking about. Zero movement in space. So right now I'm moving through space. The cell phone's moving through space over 200,000 kilometers a second around the sun, and the sun's moving. So in actual fact, this cell phone here has a tremendous amount of energy in it. Now, what happens if I take the cell phone and I throw it off the train? This cell phone's going to make a hell of a boom when it stops on the ground. That's what I'm after. Where is zero? See what I'm
Well, it's
getting at?
not. It's not where it hit the ground. Zero's not there either.
But that's
Yeah, but
what,
the ground is relative also.
right? So
I mean, you have to find
we're-
perfect balance, and even then, and that gives you zero when you find balance, and that is created by two weights.
right,
So
equilibrium, right?
right, and let's say, like Phil said, there is this biggest planet in the universe that creates a place where there is no motion, which you can do that if you're the biggest planet in the universe. You're
Yeah,
the
and
source
that's
of
the whole-
gravity. You are the
Right.
source of gravity. You are not moving.
No, you are moving through
No,
space.
not if you're the biggest planet in the universe. You are the source of gravity.
Exactly.
You are not moving.
Right.
Everything else is.
If you're the biggest mass
If you
of the
have the most
universe,
mass,
you cannot move and you
if
cannot
your
rotate
planet
as
is the
well.
most mass, or whatever,
The
whatever
biggest
star
mass
or whatever, the most mass.
the biggest mass cannot move and cannot rotate as well.
Yeah, but it's
Biggest
not mass, it's
within a
density.
certain area of space. The biggest mass, because you have.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be mass. It just has to be dense, completely dense.
Density. Well, then you get closer to black hole formation.
It has to
when
do
you
with
that.
the atomic weight of something. It has to be higher in that, not necessarily the size. The mass,
I mean,
the size doesn't
we're
matter.
heading in the direction of suggesting that black holes are the source of gravity.
But
Well,
they
we'll
move.
never know. We won't know until we
Or
get
the-
there, right?
Not if
Yeah.
they're the greatest mass in the universe. And not if there's if there's one black hole that's bigger than all the others, that one is not moving.
Yeah.
Assuming
Yeah,
it's the biggest thing in the universe and this is the only universe.
And
That's-
even light can escape it. So yeah,
it
it's
goes on and on.
pretty
See,
interesting topic.
that was the problem with
So to
Newton.
find zero, Mike, you got to find the thing with the most mass in all of the cosmoses that exist.
Yeah,
and we probably are in a bubble multiverse. So I think the
In
universe is
likeliness,
much
if you
bigger
find that
than we
mass,
think.
it's in the center of everything, and
Yeah.
everything's
oh, we got Ben on here. Ben,
But I
Are you
think
there?
zero exists in
hey,
everywhere. I think zero exists everywhere because in between the translation of one momentum or whatever you want to call it to the next, you have a balance point, and that's where the zero's found. In between the translation from one momentum to the next, in the middle there is balance of that transmission,
right,
and that's
and
why
that's
I think
what-
there's zero everywhere. But it's not. What's the word you used earlier? It's not
arbitrary constant.
right. It's just like the light, I guess. Maybe.
Right.
You'd have to
speaking
create
of-
an artificial 0 point. It's not.
Isn't 0 point the singularity?
It's only
Also-
constant in between each transmission of momentum in the
Yeah,
center
but I
of
don't
that
think it's
transmission
everywhere.
of
I
the
don't-
momentum.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it's
Well, it's
everywhere.
constant for that transmission only, not
No.
the next transmission.
You have to create a 0 point.
Well, each balance between transmission of momentums, it has to be a center point of that momentum transmission has to be balanced for the
Yeah,
transmission to
that's
happen.
why some cultures never use the 0; they always use the 1 first. There's a difference. It has to be an artificial 0 point. Unless you get to the 0 point in the center of everything. So otherwise, you just create an artificial one.
I don't know if zero. I don't know if zero. I don't know if zero is the same thing as balance.
Equals does not make a 0 point.
I think it's more the equal sign we're talking about here, not the 0 or the 1.
Okay, well,
Balance.
In my head, I'm hearing 0 point, and I'm thinking the
Perfect
center.
balance. Perfect
Yeah.
balance is 0.
Everything is neutral at the 0 point.
There is no imbalances. Everything is in balance. There's no imbalance. It's in
It's
balance.
neutral. No,
Self-stable.
I think it's completely neutral. No,
And
no,
you got
no
momentum
forces
happening everywhere. And in between the transmission of whatever to the next of that momentum, there's got to be a balance point.
Right. We're all just
There's equals, but it's not a 0 point.
It's
There's
well, that's
balance,
what I think.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think. The zero maybe
Right.
I'm wrong.
I
I
hear what you're
just
saying,
contradicted
and
myself. You're right.
I
Zero,
know exactly
zero,
what you're
zero.
saying, but I disagree with the
It's
premise
equals,
of it.
not zero. It's the equal sign, not the
Yes,
zero.
it's equals. There you go.
Right. Yeah.
0 point something totally different.
Right. You're right.
So you're saying it's the equals.
But
what
it
we
also
see-
sounds like
what we
zero.
think
Sounds
it was
like balance.
before?
So basically, if you want to pull energy out of a 0 point, right? So you go over to your Stargate and you go, okay, I want a Stargate program and I want 0 point energy. It basically means the center of your vortex. That's your 0 point. So just like everything in the cosmos, that's the center of the vortex. That's a 0 point, right? So
What's
when
the
you create
one?
an artificial 0 point, you can take anything that creates a 0 point as long as right in the center, and it creates 1 0 point right in the center.
And the +1 will be the outer section of the vortex of one side, and -1 will be the other
There you
side.
go.
No,
So-
but think
But
about
that's
it.
zero. But nonetheless, that zero is in the balanced position.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that, Mike. Not at all. I'm just saying it's not everywhere, and you're not creating 0 points everywhere. That's all I'm saying.
Think
I
about
mean,
it.
between two momentum points, it's the same thing as the black hole.
So that's
Think about
on a
it.
0 point.
I think I
It's
got it figured out.
momentum transmission.
I think I got it figured out. Think about it. If you consider gravity to be a superimposed force, so you have the gravity of the Earth, the gravity of the Sun, the gravity of the galaxy, the gravity of the galaxy cluster, the gravity of the galaxy supercluster, and the galaxy of the gravity of the universe. These are all adding up, and these are all layers of energy. But what tells us that there's nothing greater than another layer of gravity that is greater than the universe? Can you imagine all the energy that we would be in? All the energy generated by the bubble multiverse, the gravity generated by all that.
Yeah, it's
And
infinite.
There's so much energy, in fact, that life had to be formed.
maybe that's what that's what defines the
The life
relative
helps get the
gravito-magnetic
energy transmitted.
permeability and the cosmological microwave background, if you want,
Mm.
because it's some sort of some sort of layer of energy that comes out of nowhere, but it's not coming out of nowhere. It's actually the gravity layer of the bubble multiverse.
Mm.
That's the gravity generated by other universes around us.
Right,
So
but
there's
each
a
gravity. I
lot
mean,
of
is there only
energy.
one? There's only one gravity field, or I mean, each massive
It's all
matter has its
layers.
own field, though. You know.
Yeah, it's all layers of gravity or layers of energy, if you want.
Right.
So
I don't think it's one field. I think they're all, like Phil said, it's not one gravity from one place. Every mass is generating a certain amount of gravity.
A layer of gravity energy.
It's
So it's
Right.
yeah,
like when
And they're all
we have our
radiating
solar
outwards,
system.
you know, the gravity.
Yeah.
Like we have Andromeda
And inwards.
and our galaxy, the Milky Way. They're supposed to be at one point they're gonna merge. So could you say that one has more gravity pull on the other just by the mass because one is bigger than the
Yeah,
other?
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
one
So
field,
I mean,
right. Exactly. The
So that
one
mean-
magnet's stronger than the other.
so that means
Right,
the
so-
greater the mass, the more
Mhm.
gravity pull.
right.
We
would
see that
have.
happen
So-
anyway.
So
In astrologically.
they've already proven this. The weight that we weigh here on the Earth, if you go to the moon, you only weigh 1/3 of the weight that you do on the moon, because the moon's a lot smaller than our planet. So smaller mass, smaller gravitational forces.
I think the moon pulls its gravity from us on the Earth.
Probably does.
I don't believe it has its own gravity per se. It has gravity from the Earth.
Could be,
because
yeah.
it doesn't go
Because
around
it doesn't
by
spin.
itself. It doesn't spin
Mm.
itself. It just-
Assuming it's
it faces one
actually
side.
a moon, not a hologram, it would be held on to the Earth it would be held on by the Earth. Yeah. It has mass. Assuming
You
it
live
has
on flat Earth.
mass.
Can I interest you in a canoe for that? I mean,
I have a canoe already. Had it for 30 years.
Yeah. So say say that Jupiter was a solid mass. Could you imagine how much we would weigh on Jupiter?
Ooh.
Probably.
oh yeah.
You know, we probably weigh in the tons.
Well, it's like Venus spins, you know what I mean, enormously
Mm.
fast, and they crush everything on the surface with the speed that. If you just put a moon out there and slow it down and pull some of that away, you can get it to slow down, and then it wouldn't crush people so much. You'd be able to build a tidal force in the center.
Yeah, probably
Our whole
triple your
biology
weight.
would be different. Our whole biology
Oh
would
God,
be
yeah.
different.
Well,
Yeah, like-
some actually to the point where it probably would kill us.
Yeah, if you landed on Venus, you'd be dead.
I can't wait for us to land on the moon again. That way I'll know for sure it's real.
Did you
Well,
think
why
Earth
did we
had
stop going
a,
there on the moon?
I mean, last time they landed on there, I wasn't born yet, and that turned out to be somewhat of a lie. So
I mean, I'm thinking like the
let's
dinosaur age.
let's decant the lie and go back. We got the money to do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, Mike, we're all gonna take the Graviflyer to the moon. How about that?
Of course, that'd be the first place anybody goes.
Yeah.
So far, nobody's come back from there and say, "Hey, here's a moon rock." Other than
I know, no, it's
the one rock they
it's
said.
frustrating. It's frustrating, right? But we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll
By
do some
now,
independent
there
research.
should have been hundreds of people on this planet that were able to fund their own travel to the moon and bring back souvenirs.
Yeah,
Dude,
See,
no, but
NASA
You would know a friend that knows a friend that saw these souvenirs by now.
Somehow NASA
But-
lost the technology to go back to the moon. They don't
No,
remember how they did it. So.
You know what? They had a NASA engineer actually admit on film that we haven't got through the Van Allen belt. If
Right.
the human goes
I
through
saw
the-
that.
it-
They've
And that's
admitted it a
past the
couple
moon.
times.
The moon is past
They've
that.
admitted it a couple times on their live streams.
right. They've admitted we have not been able to break through the barrier of the Van Allen belt. If you do,
Good
you're
point.
dead.
And then when
about the
somebody specifically
Voyager?
addresses that, like, well, they did it in 1969. I remember that live, and they're like, well, we lost that technology. We don't know how they did it. That was their answer.
That
That's
is so
ridiculous.
pathetic.
I know.
That's
I know.
pathetic.
Then
But I mean, that's what the students now are taught. Like, I guess, like we don't have that
It's
technology anymore. We
unbelievable.
don't know how they did it.
Oh my God, it's crazy. There's
what about the
cosmic
Voyager?
radiation.
And what about the Pioneers? And
what
what
about
that
Elon
thing
Musk?
is-
What, hasn't he
That-
gone to the moon yet? No, he hasn't.
No,
He can't get caught
He
past the
won't be
Van Allen
able
belt
to.
either.
that's right. You know how much lead
That's-
shielding you would need to protect the human body? You would need several tons of lead shielding to protect
And that's
you from
Starlink, by the
getting
way. That's
fried.
below the Van Allen belt, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. It's
Okay, question. What
it.
about the Voyager? Hasn't it passed? Like
It doesn't
been
matter.
way-
It's robotic. It's robotic. It's for
Oh,
a
so we're talking
biological.
about like okay,
If
biological.
if a biological person goes through the Van Allen belt, it's fried chicken.
And by the way, that's probably what destroyed the Voyager's communications getting through the Van Allen belt. That's why it has
It could
problems
have. It's very
communicating
possible.
today.
It's very possible. But
Just didn't
I'm
show
gonna-
right away. Came up.
Personally, I'd rather send a
Heliopause.
machine. Personally, I'd rather send a machine up there and let that get fried first before you fry me.
Yeah, it's a radiation, right? Isn't it? It's like a
It's radiation.
Right.
You know how much cosmic
nuclear.
radiation?
Is it nuclear radiation or what kind of radiation is
No,
it?
it's everything, man.
Cosmic.
All
the rays,
is traveling.
It's the
everything.
layer where all the space rays are combating with our field right there. I mean, that's all the radiation, right?
Yeah,
Right.
the cosmological microwave background is already.
Yeah. Microwave.
And that layer has been forming since the Earth was born. Just imagine how strong it is by now.
No, it's
that's
actually
why
cooled down now. Actually, it's like
See, that's why
much stronger before.
Well, we don't know
That's-
all these things for sure.
that's
but-
why we have a magnetic field around the Earth. It's there for a reason, is to protect us from these
that
rays.
Van
and,
Allen layer, that
you know.
belt is not going to be, its strength is not controlled by the magnetic field of the Earth. It's controlled by the rays coming in from space. The magnetic field from the Earth doesn't matter anymore because that field was generated a long time ago. So now the fields coming from space are keeping it alive.
So if it's a belt, so it's just on a thin layer around our solar system. Well, what if they go up? Then there's no rocks up, or if they go down, like they choose a different, right?
Yeah, it's getting through it.
When I asked my, because my friend is very skeptical and he's very smart when it comes to different areas of science, but he's very skeptical on this new science that we're studying. And when I asked him, well, how did they get past the Van Allen belt in 1969? And his answer was that they timed it in certain times or certain seasons or whatever. The Van Allen belt is thinner. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that's any kind of realistic answer.
The thing is,
my question is, why did they have to go through it?
Yeah, you still risk. Yeah, exactly. You're still taking a huge risk, and I don't know, like that was I still don't. I'm still not sold on the convention.
It's not so much about, it's not so much about, look, if you're an astronaut and you got to go through a layer of just about every radiation known to man, do you expect to come back healthy?
Probably
if you got to go through that layer twice. I mean,
I think there's going to be.
You're not going to come back healthy going through it twice. Maybe once if you're lucky.
Right. Yeah, because you got to come
back.
Even
with all the suiting and and that suit is not going to stop that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna change you in some way molecularly in your body, and it might not be very good.
I don't think that it's a risk that they would pour all this kind of money into to send all that money through a pile of radiation like that. And
what if aliens were humans that changed?
Does the gold stop the radiation? The gold layer on the craft that they put for the shuttle?
You would need
for the heat or whatever, but
you would need lead shielding. Anything that could stop X-rays and slow down neutrinos if that's even possible.
Right. There's nothing that can stop that.
It's not easy. That's why I'm very skeptical on the moon landing.
And then there's the equipment inside there. All those rays, your whole craft is going to, every relay on there, you got to, just a huge risk. Not just the human life, but the craft, everything.
It's going to be fried chicken.
So hold on. Are you saying the Van Allen belt is stronger than the inside of the Earth? Or is it supposed to be weaker?
It's a barrier of harmful cosmic radiations that have been smacking into that barrier that has formed from our magnetic field back in the day, and it keeps getting stronger. So like a field, thin layer field that's formed from two fields colliding, ours and spaces.
I don't know. It just sounds like if you want to keep the mice in the maze, you got to put in thick walls. So it just sounds like they're kind of blowing smoke up, or you know what? Because it's supposed to get weaker as you go out. I don't quite buy their whole theory there.
Get weaker. The fields,
there's some holes in there.
Fields from the Earth get weaker as they go out. They don't get stronger. So I don't
but the Van Allen belt is not the magnetic field of the Earth. It's nothing.
But it's the point where it collides with something else.
No, it's formed by our magnetic field colliding with the fields of space coming into our field.
I don't know.
And that creates a layer of frequencies.
I don't know that I buy all that. I don't know.
Okay, I have a question.
Are balancing or whatever, doing their thing, bouncing off each other.
Okay, this is the solar system image. If this right here is the asteroid belt, right? And it wraps around, it comes after Mars, right after Mars, between Mars and Jupiter. Okay, yes. It's not it's not like covering the sun. It's just it's a layer. But what if we like a rocket or whatever, a spaceship, and go over it? Why do we have to go through it? That's what I don't understand. Why are we? Why like why can't we just go over it to the other side? Why are we having to go through it?
Through what? Who said we had
Right?
to go through it?
Okay, this is what they're saying, that nobody has been through it.
Through a star?
No, through the asteroid belt.
Asteroid belt. Oh.
Yeah, that's the Van Allen belt, the rock
I thought
debris.
it was a radiation belt.
No, it's a rock debris. It's a
That's
ring
the asteroid
around.
belt. That's not the Van Allen belt. Van Allen belt would be between
Van Allen
Earth
belt
and
is
Moon.
What?
Am I getting me?
I thought
Okay,
the Van
never
Allen
mind
belt was a radiation layer.
Never
top
mind
of-
then. Never mind. I think I
It's a frequency layer full of.
You're
radiation.
over in
I'm thinking-
Nibiru land. That's where between
I'm
Jupiter
thinking it's a
and
layer
Mars.
of
Yeah,
rock.
she's
They
talking
have
about the
another
asteroid
planet.
belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
thought it
for
was
right.
That's called
I
the
thought it was a
Kuiper belt, by
radiation
the way.
belt.
The Kuiper
It's
belt.
not a radiation.
Kuiper belt's
it's not a
further
radiation
out.
belt?
Is it?
It's
Oh,
not a
but-
radiation belt.
But by the way, earlier we were talking about the photon being deflected by the sun
Yes.
because the edge of one photon goes at a different speed than the edge of the other photon. Then that means if we calculate the deflection, if we observe the deflection of the photon, we could solve the dimension of the photon. You know what I mean? By if we reverse the process of calculating the deflection, predicting the deflection of a photon, if we reverse that process, then we can predict the dimension of the photon. Well, while you guys were talking, I was thinking about that, and I'm gonna do the calculations, and I'll let you know next week. That's pretty interesting. I'm trying to link also the why an energy potential creates an acceleration. I still don't get it. Why if you take out the space-time curvature out of your mind, and if you just see gravity as an energy potential, why are we being accelerated towards the center? And still trying to figure out, but I think it has to do at the atomic level and um, the difference in speed that similar to the photon we just talked about. So I'm a little bit fuzzy in my mind, but I'll clarify that and I'll come out with some mathematics for next week because I'm sure time dilation is responsible for acceleration. Time dilation in the energy potential will induce acceleration because the force is not coming out of nowhere. It comes out of it's being caused by something. So I think time dilation is responsible for creating the force or the acceleration. I'm not sure if I lost people here, but I'll clarify all this next week.
Phil, I think you have to think of it in terms of what's the incentive for an atom? Like for us human beings, how do we gain energy if we have incentive for something? We all, like get energy, momentum, and turn that thought into energy. What is the incentive for an atom to, gain that momentum and transferring that inertial energy into motion? So you have to think what would the atom be thinking in order for it to want, so something like that along that lines.
Yeah, I think the atom is. I already explained the atomic forces in my paper, the strong and the weak atomic force, and that's that builds that creates the cohesion of the atom, and
Right.
the this an atom is just a form of energy.
The strong would feed the weak force.
Yeah. So the time dilation is responsible for creating the strong and the weak atomic forces, and that explains it also explains why the electron doesn't crash into the nuclei Um, so it explains all that, and also explains why atoms are repelled from one to each other, one to each other. Yeah. Um, Even if the charges are the same, the charges of the nuclei are the same. So I'm able to explain all that. So that's cool. But an atom is just a form of energy. It's not like a ball of pool or something like that. People see an atom like a ball of pool.
Are all the atoms the same? Are they all universal? The same charge?
Yeah. It's all the same thing.
The same charge too?
No. The charge you have
Different?
negative and positive charge, but
I mean, is two atoms have the same charge, or they have different charges?
Well, the nuclei has the same charge. The electron has a different charge.
So basically, if you take two different atoms, is one having the same potential as the other, or they are different potentials?
Well,
Meaning,
I mean, if
because
it's,
an atom is it has the number of protons and electrons, the same
Yeah.
number of protons and electrons. Both atoms have the same number, right? Same
Yeah.
ratio of protons and electrons and everything. But one atom could be excited more than the other and be rotating faster than the other. So one would have more charge than the other, and you have a stronger atom and a weaker atom, right?
because of the rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
And there would be your strong and your weak force. So a stronger rotating atom would deposit its rotations to a slower rotating atom, and that cycle would continue on. But somewhere in the beginning, there's atoms spinning faster than all of them.
Yeah. But I'll think about that later. But my
like the
point
wheel,
is,
the wheel work of nature. The wheel.
my point is, an atom is just a virtual particle. A virtual particle is energy. That's what it is. And energy is, it's not like a pool of a ball of pool that solid ball that clashes with other balls and
I mean, is the
are
energy
being
density
bounced.
of each atom the same, or is it different?
The nuclei, yeah, it's the same, but the nuclei is not the most, is by far not the smallest particle. The smallest particle is the quark, and the atomic
Atoms
force.
have quarks.
Yeah, the atomic force is the gluons that connects the quarks. I'm able to explain that.
Right, the atomic force creates the quark, right?
Yeah, so yeah, and you have the atomic force and all that.
So the atoms have
Pions.
byproducts like quarks and neutrinos and stuff.
Yeah,
and
but
pions.
my point is it's all made of virtual particle, which is energy, and energy are being repelled. They're bouncing. They're bouncing like balls of pool because of the time dilation. The time dilation has an opposite effect. As we're at really close distance, it's gonna flip over the charge. So if you have a proton and an electron, they're gonna be attracted, but at very close distance, they're gonna be repelled because of the time dilation. I already calculated that.
Because of the distance between them creates a time dilation.
Yeah, there's always time dilation, but
right, because
time
you have
dilation
distance, right?
makes
So that's
effect.
time.
It makes a weird effect at atomic distances, and it reverses the effect of the charge.
And when they're close together, they repel.
Yeah, instead of attracting at very very short distances, they repel, and yeah, so that's what it is. An atom is it's not like a ball of pool. It's a form of virtual particle or energy. That's all it is. There's no conversion of mass into energy. It's already energy. It's already dense energy. And when you convert it, and same thing with a charge. Charge is a form of energy as well. So that's all it is.
So you're charged. You give thanks to having charged. You give that thanks to the atom.
Yeah, mass and the charge is
So your charge
it's all
comes from the
energy.
atom.
It's all you can convert the mass into a charge, and so that means we can create a pretty damn powerful nuclear bomb if we could convert uh, electricity, the charge of a lightning bolt into energy. Then it's gonna create a pretty powerful nuclear bomb because a charge is a form of energy as well. That's what that's I think that's what the missing link is.
Instead of
The
using energy to bomb Nagasaki, we used matter.
yeah, instead of using matter, we use a charge, the energy of a charge, or
For
multiple
what?
charges, obviously.
Well, what good is using energy to create a bomb if you're trying to make gravity with it or defeat gravity? Then the bomb result is not helping. It's just destroying your lab.
Yeah,
You
that's
got to get around the converting energy into that state where it just blows things up. How do you store it instead and use it for other things?
yeah, that's a practical problem right there.
Mm.
But
Interesting. Well, guys,
Using
we're
it
at
for
the
thrust.
2 hour mark. Yeah, we're at the 2 hour mark. I got to get up early tomorrow. I got to get some repairs done to the car. Everybody, thanks a lot for joining us. It's our Free Energy Friday, League of Extraordinary Inventors. We'll go live again. I believe next weekend's the long weekend, isn't it?
is it?
Maybe.
Memorial
Well,
Day or something?
I think so. It's Labor Day
Day.
weekend, I believe.
Labor Day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it?
so
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
we will. Yeah, so what we might do is skip next week, and then the week after Labor Day weekend, we'll do another live show.
What is that
So-
noise, man?
What was
Yes.
that yelling?
I think that's my kids playing upstairs.
Uh,
Maybe. Sorry.
Somebody lost at Fortnite.
The scream of death.
Man, like they're obsessed with Roblox, Minecraft, and some other weird game. Yeah, like they're obsessed with these games.
Real quick before we end the stream, I wanted to let everybody know I am doing a pre-workshop. I got the coil from Nathan, very generous Nathan, thank you. And we're going to be going over materials list and how to actually assemble the coil frame this Sunday at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Cool. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
So we'll do our next show. I guess September 6th. So it's going to be a week Friday. So,
Okay, so I'll be sure to have the results of my experiment by then, if it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we'll do
that'd be
that.
really cool.
So everybody, thanks a lot for coming on the show tonight. It was a really interesting show, a little bit different than what we normally talk about, but still really cool stuff. Any updates or whatever, you can tune into Faraday Research. Don't forget to check out Old Man Builds and also Benefactors YouTube channel. Mike does. And Philip will hear about his results in 2 weeks. Everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend.
All right.
See you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Live long and
Good night.
prosper.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Have a good day, Mike. Or good
Yeah.
night.
Take care. Thanks, Nathan.